Nate's hate.
Jason's.
Welcome to Sports Talk Live, and we're going to cover NBA, MLB free agency, and the NFL draft. Stay tuned. Okay, so our first topic today is the dunk contest. So, you guys, did you watch the dunk contest over the weekend?
I picked up a little bit of the dunk contest. It was won by Donovan Mitchell, which to me came as no surprise. That guy has been flying high all season long. He's been amazing out there in Utah. But to me, it just seems like the dunk contest has not been what it's been like in the past, at least me personally. I remember the days of Dwight Howard and Nate Robinson, those two going back and forth. You know, you had the real short Nate Robinson and the monster and Dwight Howard. Those were fun, and it seems like the dunk contests in years past have not been the same. Grant, I don't know how you feel about it.
Well, first of all, I didn't watch it live. I recorded it and watched it back, and I watched highlights. But I think all you need to look at is, so go on Twitter, like for the last week before the dunk contest, what were you seeing? You were seeing highlights of Dwight Howard, Vince Carter, like of years past. Like no one's like, remember when, you know, who dunked for the Suns last year? Like Derek Johnson or something.
Yeah.
Some D-leaguer. Like no one's talking about that. We're talking about dunk contests that happened nearly 20 years ago. So I think that's a big piece of it. I watched it. I thought there were some cool things. I liked when Victor Oladipo put the Black Panther mask on. I thought like
the props.
He captured the moment. It's a popular movie right now. Like Chadwick, the actor, I know his first name's Chadwick, I can't remember. The actual Black Panther from the movie was there. So we hopped on that. I liked Larry Nance actually did the play on his dad with the backwards, what was that?
Rock the Cradle.
Rock the Cradle, that's exactly it. So I thought that was cool, but you know, I figured Donovan Mitchell would win. I think some of the dunks that he has done in games were actually cooler than what those guys actually did in the dunk contest.
I just thought the judges gave out way too many 50s. I mean, there were, 3 50s this year, I think? And I just thought it was so easy to score high and, like, get good scores. Like, there were guys who missed, like, on their first and second dunks. I was like, this isn't good. It's not a good dunk contest. Larry Nance is off the backboard. I thought that was an overrated dunk. Everyone loved it.
You're talking about, like, the double tap off the backboard?
When he double tapped off the backboard, I was like, that doesn't do anything for me. I really liked the Vince Carter thing.
That was cool.
I thought that was really cool. And I liked, that was Donovan Mitchell's first one. That went off the second backboard, wasn't it?
That was cool.
I really liked that one. I don't know. I thought the dunk contest was weak. It just wasn't good.
I liked how they had younger players in it. Like, it was cool that they got Derek, or not Derek, what's his name? Oh boy. The rookie from Dallas. Dennis Smith, not Derek.
Dennis Smith Jr.
Yeah, you got it. It was cool that they got him involved because he had just a fantastic year so far, and it was cool that they could get him involved because it's tough to be an all-star in the West, and I thought it was cool that he got him involved.
Speaking of all-stars, did you guys watch the all-star game in general, but did you catch the intro?
Yeah.
What do you guys thought on the intro?
Well, I was Snapchatting Nate the entire time. I couldn't believe what I was watching. Like with Rob Riggle and Kevin Hart, I thought that was a train wreck. We've seen bad national anthems before. Like, that'll happen. But the intro, like somebody wrote that. Like we need to teach our kids to not go with the flow because the entire time somebody wrote that and that was being.
Someone thought that was a good idea.
They all thought that was good, and nobody said anything. So yeah, that was my issue with the intro. Like I know Nate had strong words about the national anthem as well.
It was horrible. It's one of the worst national anthems ever. I'll get to that later. But wow, I think this is one of the first times that I can remember where the All-Star game actually surpassed any of the build-up. So the dunk contest, three-point shooting contest. Are you guys surprised at how well Team LeBron played despite having so many injuries to his roster?
I really am, because I really thought like the coming weeks before, it was a destruction of Team LeBron. Like everyone thought, oh, there's no way there's gonna be able to stand up to team Steph, and like I thought Team LeBron was gonna get destroyed out there.
Well, DeMarcus Cousins was such a big piece of that team.
Yes.
Like Kevin Love, he's a nice player and he's having a great year, but in terms of flashy performances in an All-Star game, I really didn't think that was going to happen. But DeMarcus Cousins is a beast. Like he was dropping 44 and 20 before he got hurt. So I thought that was a big loss, but it definitely helped that none of Team Steph was hitting their shots. Steph went 3 of 11 from behind the three-point line, and Harden, I wrote these down because I wanted to make sure I got it right. Harden went 2 for 13 from behind the three-point line.
Really?
So like when you have your two best players play that poorly and jack up that many threes, that's gonna do you in.
Yeah, that's bad.
That's it.
Yeah. The hype going into the All-Star game was not good for me. Like, it was so hyped up, and then the intro just killed it.
Yeah.
Kevin Hart in that intro I thought was bad. I didn't like it. It took too long. Kevin Hart was making, like, some sort of jokes at the players. Like, what was it, Anthony Davis, he went as unibrow.
Right after the brow, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then, like, I wasn't a fan of it. But, who do you guys got for the playoffs this year?
Playoffs.
Well, I think Houston actually does have a very legit chance at beating Golden State. If you're looking at the Western Conference, going into the year, Golden State, they always look invincible. They always look like nobody can take them down. I think Houston, in a 7-game series, has a very legitimate chance at beating the Warriors in the West.
I think absolutely. In the West, I think it's really interesting. Maybe not because I don't think Golden State's going to lose in the West. I think there's some really good teams that'll give them a best shot. But imagine what Golden State's going to have to go through to get back to the finals. They're going to have to be Houston, I would imagine. Yep. And then probably either Minnesota, Oklahoma City, or San Antonio in one of the first rounds. And that's an absurd path to the finals. That's going to be a lot harder than whatever Cleveland has to go through.
Especially because last year they won 16-1 throughout the whole playoffs. No way that happens again this year.
No, I definitely think they're going to lose a lot more games this year. I think they'll still go to the finals. I think because I saw Houston versus Minnesota a couple weeks last week. I think it was a good game. Excuse me, it was a good game, but Houston just overpowered Minnesota. So I really think it's going to be Houston and Golden State just going at it head-on against each other. I don't see any other team really getting in their way. And especially, like, Cleveland has such an easy route. They'll have to go through Boston, but I don't think Boston's that good.
So do you guys both think Cleveland's going to make it out of the East?
Yeah.
Not sure yet. Not sure yet. It depends. I need to see more of this new look Cavaliers team. I mean, it seemed like they sold the whole farm once the trade deadline came. So they've played pretty well since then. However, coming out of the All-Star break, we'll have to see what they look like. Give it a few weeks, I might change my opinion on it. But as for right now, I can't go all in and say Cleveland is the favorite in the East.
See, I want to say they are because it's hard to go against Cleveland, but
it's hard to go against
the one thing, yeah, exactly. I'm not a LeBron fan, but I think it's hard to go against him. But the one thing I have to give Boston is they play defense, and defense can transfer into the playoffs.
Exactly.
That's the one thing that I think Boston might have a chance, but I don't trust that offense. If, like you said, Kyrie, he'll have to, drop 40 probably?
If Kyrie doesn't score 30-plus points, I don't think they have a shot.
Yeah.
And if he drops 40, I don't know where the rest of their scoring team come from. Jason Tatum's hit a wall his rookie season, which isn't surprising. Jaylen Brown's kind of been underwhelming. But I definitely see Cleveland. I think they're going to get better on defense because they got rid of so many players who were their defensive weaknesses.
They got younger, they got
younger, they got athletic.
Yep.
Now, the problem is Cleveland has a bunch of guys who could give you 15 points, but when they get to the finals against a team like Golden State, they have 4 guys on their team he could give you 40 or 30 points.
Exactly.
And that's just so hard to compete. I love Rodney Hood. I like Larry Nance and Jordan Clarkson, and they could give you 15 points a night, but there's a time in the finals, and I do think Cleveland will make it, where somebody other than LeBron is going to have to score. And I don't know if they have that guy without Kyrie.
Yeah, I definitely agree. So did you guys hear what Adam Silver wants to do for the new playoff system? I know you heard about this, Grant.
Yeah, we were talking about this earlier. Well, Colin Cowherd had an interesting take on it earlier this year, or earlier this morning, saying that all this is for is they're putting the idea out there, so if LeBron goes to the West next year and the East is pretty much left high and dry without any stars or super teams, that either TNT or ESPN, remember ESPN forked out a lot of money for the Eastern Conference Final or the Eastern Conference playoffs last year, and they were awful. Nobody watched them. So if that happens and LeBron leaves, so they almost have that parachute to pull on to say, well, we're just going to do this. And it's been mentioned before, so it's not going to surprise anyone. I don't want them to do it. I think it's kind of a bad idea. Like, I'm interested to see, because I didn't get to talk to Nate about this. I want to hear what Nate has to say
Nate,
about
what do you
this.
have to say about the new playoff system?
Personally, I am not a fan if they do decide to go to this. I hope they keep the conferences. And I know the big reasoning for it is because of the parity. I get it. The West is stacked. All the stars, all the really good teams are out in the Western Conference, but that can't last for more than 5 to 10 years. Yeah. It'll all settle down. Things will sort of split back up into the Eastern and the Western Conference being pretty close to even. So I think this would just be a really rash decision by Adam Silver to just get rid of the conferences altogether. Not a fan.
Yeah, well, what kind of precedent does it set? Like, if it goes well, and then all of a sudden the East and the West become balanced again, do you say, or we're going to take it back to, like, is this a year-by-year thing, like, just depending on the strength of the conferences? Like, I think if you make this decision, it has to be for good. And I don't think you should make a decision like that under these circumstances when I don't think the imbalances in the conference is going to last much longer than, like Nate said, 5 years.
Like I said, how's it going to work if you get rid of conferences? Because teams in the West are going to be playing tougher teams, where teams in the East are playing easier teams. You have to play everyone the same amount of times at all. I just don't think it's going to work out the way he hopes. Yeah. But that is it for our first segment on NBA. We have to take a break. We're actually going to go to some WMCM promos of Hot Shot Sports and Get Classic.
For the fun side of sports, from debates to memes to highlights, don't miss Hot Shot Sports, Tuesday afternoons on WMCM on Campus 200 and Charter 989.
Get excited for Get Classy, WMCM's hottest game show.
Write down your wager on your whiteboard now.
That is correct.
I'm in charge here. I'm going to give the board to Greta.
No, that is cheating.
Play along with us Tuesday afternoons at 2:45 and 4:30 on Campus Channel 200 or Charter Channel 989. Remember, stay sassy with Get Classy.
Okay, so now that we're done with the NBA discussion, we're going to move into baseball since spring training is here. And the free agent freeze is finally over somewhat. I don't know if you guys have been paying attention at all, but there's been some big signings in Yu Darvish, Eric Hosmer, JD Martinez. What do you guys think of these signings right now? Do you guys know the signings? Nate, do you know?
Well, yeah, I do know. I heard about Yu Darvish coming to Chicago for 6 years, $126 million.
Yep.
As you see there, you're pretty excited about that.
I'm very excited.
It seems like a very good deal for the Cubs to add Darvish. He's a fantastic pitcher. I still have a lot of faith in him. I know some people sort of wrote him off, especially after the playoffs last season when he kind of choked it up in the World Series a little bit. But I still think good signing by the Cubs. My only concern is 6 years. He's 31 years old. Does that seem like a bit of a long deal to make for a pitcher at 31 years of age?
Yeah, but free agent market is going to dictate, you know, the players are going to get what they want. Otherwise, they're going to go somewhere else. So you obviously wanted 5-6 years, and the Cubs were willing to give that to him because if it hits the fan in a couple of years, and this Cubs, and they know their window's now.
Exactly.
So if in a couple of years this goes south, they can jettison. They're going to lose money on it, but they can jettison Yu Darvish. I don't know if he has an option or if
there's an opt out after I think year 2 or year 3.
After year 2 or year
but
3.
$21 million a year is what he'll be making. That's a steal. Everyone was thinking 25 to 30. I mean, that is a steal for. If he went to different teams, he'd be an ace on some teams. Yeah. So I think it's a steal. The Eric Hosmer to the Padres deal, I really like that. I think the Padres are still a developing team. There's still some young pieces. They're not yet there, but they got Will Myers, they got Eric Hosmer. Their farm system's good. I think this is a really good signing for them. It's a little long, but he'll be making $21 million, or no, averages $20 million for the first 5 years, and then goes down to 13 after the next 3. So not the worst deal. Later in his year, they'll be able to trade him, but I don't know.
I don't get what the Padres do. Like, I don't really understand how that franchise works. Like, I feel like if you're bad for so many years, eventually you have to be good. And I feel like my entire life of watching the Brewers, every time they play the Padres are awful.
Exactly.
And it's never changed. So we'll see. I mean, it's always a good idea to bring in, older. Eric Hosmer has World Series experience, but that'll be kind of a wait and see thing for me on what the heck the Padres are doing.
Exactly, and I agree because as you said, their farm system is really good, one of the best in all of Major League Baseball. So only adding those key pieces, your veteran guys that can hopefully help those rookies as they make the transition into the show, only helps the Padres.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And are you guys surprised that the free agent freeze is still going on? Like, there's some really big name free agents out there. I mean, Jake Arrieta's still unsigned.
Cobb's still out there.
Alex Cobb, Lance Lynn. Are you guys surprised what's taking place?
Well, No, I guess no. I don't think so. Because Arrieta, I think, wants a lot of money and he wants years, and there's only so many teams that are in a position to dole that out. You know, because the Cubs are in another chase for another World Series here in the next couple of years. They give Darvish what he wants, and the other pitchers now might have to back off their demands a little bit because teams that are willing to give that up are just few and far between, especially now that the Cubs, I know Ryan, our buddy, thinks they're going to go after Arrieta still, but
that's
we'll see. It is a hot take. It's a steaming hot take, it is.
Okay, speaking of the Cubs, though, you guys are probably Brewer fans, as I'm thinking. Yeah. How do you think the NL Central is going to wrap up? I think the Cubs are going to get 97, 98 wins, with the Brewers and Cardinals battling out from 86 to 88. Depending how the Brewers' rotation holds up, I'm not sure if they can withstand the entire season, but what do you guys think?
I think, once again, we'll see the Cubs at the top of the NL Central. Yep. That lineup is still amazing. Top to bottom, one of the best lineups in all of Major League Baseball.
Yes.
If they can remain with Arrieta, I think their rotation only gets better. However, Yu Darvish is still a very key piece for them. So Cubs, I definitely have at the top. When it comes to second place in the NL Central, I think it'll be a really close race between the Brewers and the Cardinals. Because as you said, the lineup is still really young for the Brewers, but that pitching rotation just has a lot of question marks. There's no true ace. And I know Grant and I, we've talked about this in the past. So I think it really does come down between the Brewers and the Cardinals, and it could just come down to how that rotation looks for the Brewers down the stretch.
Yeah, well, the Cardinals are such a well-ran franchise, so they're going to be in the hunt, I think, no matter what. Last year was a little bit of an anomaly, but the Brewers have so many question marks. The Brewers, I think, could approach 90 wins, but there's so many things that need to happen. Okay, so the Cubs are reducing uncertainty by going and getting a guy like Yu Darvish.
Yes.
They're saying we don't want to take a chance on other pitchers developing or being good. We're going to make sure that we have another ace pitcher. So the Cubs in their rotation right now are going to have John Lester, Darvish, Quintana,
Hendricks, and
Chatwood, and that's the same thing Ryan said when I talked to him earlier as well. I don't see the Brewers rotation, even if everything goes as planned or better for the Brewers, I don't think they can contend with that firepower.
No, even if they get Jimmy Nelson back halfway through the year, I still don't see
if he's great. Yeah,
exactly. Okay, so who you guys got for the World Series? It's still a little early. No games have been played yet, but early predictions, we're all about it. Who you guys got? Because I'm thinking it's hard to go against my Cubs. I know I'm a Cub fan, I'm biased, but that rotation, that bullpen, the starting lineup, it's so good. I'm thinking Cubs-Astros World Series is bound to happen this year.
He sounds confident.
I'm very confident in that. Cubs-Astros 2018 World Series is going to go all 7 games. Count it. What do you guys got?
The Astros, they have kept most of their main roster. They've added Garrett Cole, I do believe. So their pitching is only going to get stronger.
Yes.
They're going to be a force to reckon with in the American League. But also, don't sleep on the Yankees. They made the playoffs last year. They're adding Giancarlo Stanton to that lineup. They're going to be a very tough team to play against. That lineup is going to look ridiculous come April.
I think the Yanks are a really fun, young, intriguing team. And I think they'll make the playoffs and make some noise. I don't know how comfortable I am with a new manager picking them because Girardi was a guy who had a ton of World Series experience, and they let that go, so they must know something that I don't. But I like the Yankees. I like the Indians a lot. I like Francona and what they do in Cleveland. But the Astros are so good. It's just tough for me to look at the Astros because I think they are the best team and say just because they're the best team, they're going to make it. And I think that the same thing about the Cubs. I think they're the best team, but man, I don't know. Like with the World Series run last year, I'm out on the Nationals. I can't pick the Nationals to ever win in the playoffs. But
the only thing about that is that I think Bryce Harper may, because it's in a contract year, so I think he may want to play a little extra.
Yep.
I'm predicting him as MVP. But I think he'll play extra, maybe get the Nationals out of the NLDS, but I just don't see it.
I think the Cubs are the best team. Right now, I have a really difficult job projecting anybody to get into the World Series. But right now, on paper, the Cubs look like the best team.
That's exactly. Cubs-Astros, I think it's...
And that's all we have right now.
Yeah, that's all we have.
Yeah. That's all we have.
And I have a note written down, too, like speaking of the Nationals, I kind of group them with the Indians. They're those kind of teams that will put together those fantastic regular seasons, but when it comes to the playoffs, it just seems like they can't put it together. So maybe something will change this year. We'll have to wait and see, but definitely those two teams. Keep an eye out on those two.
Okay, so we have to take another break, but when we come back, we'll be talking NFL football. And here's some more WMCM promos.
The University of Wisconsin-La Crosse brings you a weekly student newscast. Important news, movie critiques, weather forecasts, sports highlights, and local interviews. UWL's own WMCM, run by the students, for the students. Every Thursday at 4:30 on Campus Channel 200 and Charter Channel 989. Are you a movie fanatic?
Tune in on WMCM TV's Screening Room, Tuesdays at 2:45 or 4:30. You can watch on Channel 200 and Charter 989. See you on Tuesdays for Screening Room.
Okay, so we are back with some NFL football. And it's the off season, so it's not much to talk about. But the NFL Combine's coming up. I believe it's the February 27th to 28th it starts.
Yep.
And so are you guys excited to talk about, even for the Combine at all?
I personally am very excited because you've got a huge string of quarterbacks coming into this year's draft.
Yep.
Baker Mayfield, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, just to name a few. So the thing I'm most excited about for the Combine is to see how those three perform, because I think those are the big names that we will be seeing coming off that draft board quickly come draft day.
Yeah, I'm super excited to watch the quarterbacks. Like, this is what you dream of if you like watching quarterbacks come out of college, because you have Rose and Darnold, you have the two blue bloods, right?
Yep.
And then you have Josh Allen, who's a small school guy who some people really love, some people don't. You have Baker Mayfield, who, like, whether you say it or not, is like a second coming of Johnny Manziel. Like, he's kind of that same. And then you have like Lamar Jackson, who's like Ohio State quarterbacks, like Braxton Miller, like that.
Yep.
The guy who people might want to move to different positions. Like, you have such a variety of quarterback play. I don't know how much I'm going to watch the Combine. Like, I'm not going to tune in live. Like, I don't want to see how many times like an offensive lineman can bench, 300 pounds or whatever. But it is going to be really fun to compare and contrast what kind of stats the different quarterbacks put up, because there are so many and they are so different. And I think all of that come together will really decide how quickly they come off the board on draft day, which is going to impact a lot of other teams, even the ones that aren't looking for a quarterback.
Yeah, I'm really excited just to watch the high top profile guys, how much they fall during the Combine, those late round guys, how much they jump up and increase their stock. I'm really excited for like Mason Rudolph, another quarterback who I think.
Yeah, we didn't talk about him.
I think he's going to be a good quarterback. I think his stock will only rise during the Combine and like the draft workouts and everything. I think he's going to be another good guy up there. I think he's going to go before Lamar Jackson, to be honest. Tremaine Edmonds, he's only 19 right now. He'll be 20 come Combine time. I think he's going to be really fun to watch.
We can talk about JT Barrett. I mean,
yeah, JT
another
Barrett.
Interesting name just to watch and pay attention to.
Yeah,
really fun.
Marcus Davenport from UT San Antonio, another small school guy. Like, I think there's a lot of fun names that are going to be out there to watch. Yeah. I think this might be the first Combine I actually watch from like start to finish, and it'll be interesting. But so now on to free agency for football. Free agency period, franchise tag opened up today. The franchise tag period. So you guys, there's some really big names out there for free agency. Where are you guys thinking they're going to go? I mean, there's names like Kirk Cousins, Jarvis Landry, Allen Robinson, Brian Cushing got released today, Malcolm Butler, Adrian McCarron now. Where are some landing spots for these guys, do you think?
Well, I really like the Kirk Cousins going to Denver train, because Kirk Cousins, they brought in Alex Smith to Washington.
Yes.
That sort of closed the door on the Kirk Cousins era. And Kirk Cousins is the kind of quarterback that I think he's not going to put a team on his back like a Aaron Rodgers would and lead your team single-handedly to the playoffs. But if you get the right pieces around him, a good defense and some weapons on offense,
Denver has a great defense.
Yeah, exactly. Denver has a fantastic defense. That's why I think that is a fantastic landing spot for Kirk Cousins. So I am all aboard Kirk Cousins heading to Denver to be a Bronco. Also, though, we've talked a little bit about Case Keenum possibly moving from Minnesota. We don't know what the Vikings are going to do, but I do think Case Keenum, he will want that money to be a starter somewhere else. And I know, Grant, we've talked about this in the past. Case Keenum is not going to want to take backup money.
No. I think Keenum, a good spot would be Arizona. I think if he goes to Arizona, I think he could do pretty well there. All right, so obviously you guys are both Packer fans. I'm the oddball out here. I'm from Chicago.
Yeah.
Who do you guys want the Packers to draft this year?
Well, I'm all on board for – the Packers have so many positions of need. The one position that I want to discount, if a great player falls, I'm never closing the door on any position, but I don't really want them to draft another corner, because they've drafted so many, and it's if you're going to go get another corner, get one in free agency that can come in and share experiences. Like when they got Charles Woodson, he taught those young players how to prepare. He shared so much of that, and I think an older player could be used there. I love some sort of pass rusher. So three guys that I really like. I like Roquan Smith out of Georgia. He's the outside linebacker. I really like him.
Very good.
Davenport out of San Antonio, like you said. Harold from Boston College, what's his name? Harold Landry,
Yeah.
I believe is his name. Jury's out on him. I think the combine will tell a lot. And then an interesting name, I really like Vita Vea out of Washington.
I
Because
heard
think,
he's strong.
Yeah, and Philadelphia showed that you don't necessarily need outside pass rushers to create pressure on the quarterback.
Yeah.
That can come up the gut. So I think Philadelphia showed that a lot. So I think Vita Vea out of Washington, he intrigues me if he falls.
What about a guy like Arden Key?
Yeah.
He's another edge rusher.
Yeah, there's a lot of edge rushers, and people's opinions of them have yet to be cemented because there's a lot of, like, San Antonio and Boston College, those aren't blue blood programs typically for players. And like I said, I think the combine's going to tell a lot.
Yeah. Nate, you got any take on who the Packers should go out and get?
I also have written down that they need to get a pass rusher. That's the one weakness of their defense that they really could shore up in this year's draft. So Davenport or whoever it may be, go out, get a pass rusher first round.
Yeah, pass rushers are very important. They don't hit free agency much. All right, so what are your way too early predictions for next year for the NFC North? Who do you guys think? How do you think it's going to play out?
Well, I do think the Packers make it back to the playoffs. They'll come off. Rodgers will come back off that injury. Their defense with Mike Pettin as that D coordinator should be a little bit better than it was the past few years. I'm not going to make any bold predictions on how good it will be, but I see them getting back into the playoffs this coming season.
As of right now, it's the Vikings. Assuming that you know both teams just have a normal draft and don't acquire anyone else, I would pick the Vikings to win the NFC North. I don't like it, but I would. And then I think Philly's going to be the other really good team, just because Carson Wentz is coming back. He's so darn good.
Yeah, I agree.
Can't not pick him.
I really think the Bears are going to get to 9 wins. It may seem like a long shot right now, but I think Ryan Pace is going to make some moves and make some hit. He has to hit in the draft.
They need weapons for Trubisky. If they can do that.
Paul Richardson, Albert Wilson, I think those are going to be 2 guys that they go after. Some tier 2 wide receivers. Go after an edge rusher in the draft is what I'm hoping. Because like I said, edge rushers don't hit free agency. It just doesn't happen.
Yeah, the Cowboys are going to tag DeMarcus Lawrence. Like,
Exactly.
He's a lower end pass rusher, and they're still not going to let him walk.
Ziggy Ansah from Detroit, he probably won't hit free agency.
Exactly.
I don't think it's going to happen. Okay, now we're going to go into some rants here. Each person has their own little segment here that we just let them rant about whatever they want. Nate's up first.
Well, my rant for today is Fergie. Look, she sang the national anthem during the NBA All-Star game on Sunday night, and it was horrible. Maybe one of the worst that I have ever seen. She is a professional musician. She's been doing this for years. She's won countless awards and countless accolades. Just go out. Just give yourself a normal national anthem. Nobody would be talking about it, but instead it was all over the news. Fergie, come on, girl. You know better.
Yeah, mine's about the All-Star game as well. It's the actual game. So I'm a big Giannis fan. So I was pulling for Team Steph. They should have won. Like, this wasn't hard. Mike D'Antoni coached scared in the fourth quarter. I'm going to tell you why. He was afraid to pull off Harden, which I get. He's his own player. He was afraid to pull off Steph. Neither one were hitting shots. You put in Dame Lillard. You put in Klay Thompson. You put in the guys who were hitting the shots. You cost your All-Star team a win. You did, because you didn't want to take your marquee players off the floor. You were scared, D'Antoni. You were absolutely scared, and because of that, Team LeBron won, and my favorite player lost, and I'm upset about it. So he should feel ashamed of himself.
And I think you have every right to be upset. Grant.
Thank you.
You really do.
Thank you.
But, okay, so my rant is going to be about the DH. There's not a lot of talk out there about the DH right now, but just bring the DH to both leagues right now. I believe there were 2 or 3 Brewers pitchers last year that got injured from running the bases. That's not something in their job description, really. They don't have to do that. They're there to pitch. They're there to pitch at a high level and produce and win games for the teams. They're not there to go out and hit 300 for a year. If they have to hit 30 times, okay, but just bring the DH, make it easier. I mean, then the Cubs could finally use Kyle Schwarber for something instead of placing him in left field, who he does not belong at all. But the DH just needs to be in both leagues. Stop talking about pace of play. No one cares about pace of play. The game is short enough as it is. It's not too long like some people think. Some people just aren't smart enough for the game. But just bring the DH to both leagues. It's as simple as that. All right, I definitely agree though about your Fergie thing. How she definitely just messed up.
It was rough.
Yeah,
it was
I just
horrible.
don't know how to do it. It was just bad. It was rough.
I like watching the players' reaction because I think we've all been there, like a high school game, listening to a horrible national anthem
Exactly.
and to smile.
And all of them were laughing. It was so funny. I didn't know what else to do. Like, well, I want to know. I know she came out with an apology today. That's something you can like apologize for.
Yeah. It happens. You know, bad performances happen, but you know, she wanted to do something ballsy and it didn't pay off in any way. So.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And like I know other people have done like their own little twists and spins on the national anthem, but this one was just very rough.
It was poor.
All right, that's all we have for today's show. This was Sports Talk Live. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Catch you next week.
Sounds good.
Has a short wrap up, but that's okay. Good show, you guys.